My name's Mark. I'm a lawyer, married to the sweetest woman, Samantha. Samantha's a stay-at-home wife, content with taking care of the house, which works perfect for us. She keeps the house in tip-of-the-top shape, cooks amazing meals, and generally makes my life a breeze after a long day arguing with judges and stressed-out clients. Samantha's the epitome of grace and efficiency. Our home always exudes a welcoming warmth, the kind that makes you want to kick off your shoes, sink into the couch with a sigh of relief. The meals she prepares are not just sustenance, but experiences. From hearty breakfasts to elaborate dinners, each dish reflects her love and dedication. I often find myself boasting about her culinary skills to my friends, colleagues, who are always envious of the gourmet lunches I bring to the office. Her ability to maintain such a pristine house while managing to surprise me with little gestures of love and care constantly amazes me. I met Samantha when I volunteered for local church activities. Samantha was the perfect representation of my ideal woman. Beautiful, kind, gentle. She knew how to take care of everyone. She did so much without being asked to and never complained. And in a way, I felt I was the man that she needed. Meeting her was like finding a piece of myself, if I'm being honest, I never knew was missing. During those volunteer sessions, I was often struck by how effortlessly she connected with everyone around her. Her smile could light up the darkest room, and her kindness was boundless. I remember watching her comfort a crying child one afternoon. Something clicked inside me. I knew then that she was someone special, someone I wanted to share my life with. Our early dates were full of laughter and deep conversation. We talked about our dreams, our fears, and everything in between. It didn't take long for me to realize that I wanted to spend the rest of my life making her as happy as she made me feel. I was reputable, a member of society, earned a decent amount of money, and could protect and take care of Samantha without even making her lift a finger. After only meeting a few times, Samantha and I hit it off immediately, and soon I proposed to her. We got married right away, and now we've been married for 3 years, and things have been fantastic. We've created countless memories together, from lazy Sunday mornings in bed to spontaneous weekend getaways. Every moment with her feels like a blessing. Our relationship is built on mutual respect and understanding, and we've always just been each other's biggest supporters. We don't have kids yet, by choice, focusing on ourselves. Our life is perfect, and honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. We've talked about starting a family someday, but for now, we're enjoying the freedom to travel, explore new hobbies, and simply enjoy each other's company. But lately, it all began to change in a way that I never imagined. There was a subtle shift in our daily routine, a change that was both unexpected and unsettling. At first, I could not quite put my finger on it. It was just a feeling, a sense that something was off. So here's the thing. Samantha's not a big on going out. She's a homebody. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that about her. She does not enjoy being on big crowds or going out much. Like, at all. Grocery shopping, errands, even grabbing a coffee, it's always been my domain. I wouldn't mind, really. It's a small price to pay for the amazing life that she builds for us at home. But lately, things have been different. Samantha, who used to be content spending her days at home, suddenly seemed restless. She started finding reasons to get out more often, and while I didn't mind at first, it soon became a pattern that I could not ignore. Guys, it started a few weeks ago. Samantha started heading out for errands more often. A quick trip to the bakery, a dash to the drugstore, things I usually took care of. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe she was just tired of waiting for me. It was actually kind of nice coming home to a stocked fridge and freshly baked cookies. It felt like the old days of dating when we would surprise each other with these little gestures. But as the days went by, her trips out of the house became more frequent. She would leave without much explanation and return hours later with vague stories about where she's been. It was unlike her to be so secretive. I could not help but feel a growing sense of unease. I tried to brush it off, telling myself that she just needed a change of pace, but the doubt lingered. Guys, let me give an example. Last Saturday, I come home to find the kitchen sparkling clean, a fresh batch of cookies on the counter, my weakness, oatmeal raisin, a note from Samantha saying that she had gone to pick up some extra milk. It threw me off at first, but then I smiled. Maybe she was finally getting tired of me being the sole errand runner. It was such a gesture, one that reminded me of the early days of our relationship. The next day, it was quick trip to the bakery for croissants. Then the day after that, it was picking up her dry cleaning. Now, I'm not complaining about the change. Having a clean house and fresh pastries is definitely a perk, baby. But there was something unsettling about it. Like a routine we'd had for years was suddenly being disrupted. Samantha's newfound independence was both a relief and a source of anxiety for me. I wanted to support her, to encourage her to do what made her happy, but I could not ignore the growing sense of unease. That wasn't all. What made my suspicion tick more was that Samantha had never had a password on her phone. Her phone was always remained unlocked. Not that I have a habit of checking it, but sometimes I help her out with this decluttering of her phone memory. She just doesn't know those kind of things. But lately, Samantha had a password on her phone, and when I asked about it, she denied it. Her response was casual, almost dismissive, but it only added to my growing list of concerns. See, why would she suddenly feel the need to lock her phone? What was she hiding? I tried to push these thoughts aside, reminding myself of the trust that we had built over the years. But it was becoming increasingly difficult to do so. I found it disturbing, but let it go because I trust my wife, you know? But with every day passing, there was something that made my doubts grow little by little. Each new day brought with it a fresh set of worries. I found myself watching her more closely, looking for any signs that might explain her sudden change in behavior. I hated feeling this way, like I was spying on her, but I couldn't help it. Then came Wednesday. Brutal day at the office. Closed a major case, felt like celebrating, you know? I left early and figured, heck it. I'd surprise Samantha with takeout and a movie night. We love Netflix. As I pulled into the driveway, the house was silent. No lights, no sign to the TV. No, strange. I called, no answer. Frantic, I dialed her number again. It rang once, twice, to voicemail. Just as I was about to call the police, the front door opened. There she was, Samantha, coffee cup clutched in one hand. Now don't get me wrong, seeing her after a long day is always a mood booster. But today something felt different. It wasn't just any smile, it was a giddy, carefree smile I had not seen on her in ages. It was a smile that seemed out of place given the circumstances. My heart sunk as I tried to make sense of it. Hey honey, you're early, she exclaimed. Her voice was bright and cheerful, and I don't know, I just stared at her absolutely dumbfounded. I asked her where she was and why she didn't pick up my calls even after I called almost 1,000,000 times. Samantha's smile disappeared for a moment. She mumbled an apology, explaining that she had not heard her phone because she'd just gone out for a quick coffee run. No big deal. She claimed that she needed to pick me up after a morning spent cleaning. My initial worry morphed into a cold, harsh suspicion. A coffee run. While I was worried sick, and that giddy, almost flirtatious demeanor, it just did not sit right with me. Dinner that night was strange. Samantha kept asking why I was so quiet. I couldn't bring myself to tell her. I mean, how could I? Accusing her of something out of the blue felt cruel. Yet the doll just gnawed at me. The silence between us was heavy, filled with unspoken questions and fear. I wanted to believe her, to trust that she was telling me the truth, but the doubt was like a thorn in my side, constantly just reminding me that something was terribly wrong. The next few days, Samantha's usual cheerfulness, I don't know, it seemed somewhat forced. I felt like a paranoid fool, constantly checking her actions and her purse, looking for a hint of a secret life. I was getting mad with conflicting emotions. I wanted to trust her, to believe that everything was fine, but I could not shake the feeling that she was hiding something from me. Finally, on Saturday morning, I couldn't take it anymore. We were both in the kitchen, Samantha making pancakes, humming a happy tune. I snapped. I blurted out to Samantha, asking who she met for a coffee. She looked at me with disappointment, almost sad eyes. The hurt in her expression was like a punch to the gut. Straight to the gut. Well, I felt ashamed, but I could not back down yet, not entirely. I just went ahead to ask her. Why didn't she tell me she was going? Samantha's voice had started to crack at that. As she explained that she had just run for a quick coffee, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't think it was anything. By then, the anger had completely drained out of me, seeing the way that she just looked and the hurt in her eyes. I realized there was no way she was lying. I mumbled an apology and went inside, feeling the biggest jerk on the planet. I haven't spoken to Samantha properly since. We've been like awkward roommates, avoiding eye contact and eating dinner in tense silence. I know I need to apologize, but the whole thing has left me shaken. The distance between us feels insurmountable, really, and I don't know how to bridge the gap. I miss the easy companionship that we once shared, the laughter and the love, and I want to make things right, but I don't know where to start. So guys, I'm coming to you to ask, am I the a-hole for confronting Samantha about the non-existent affair? I feel awful, but the whole thing just seems so suspicious. I would love any words of advice or support right now. Am I the jerk here? Should I just apologize and trust her? I don't know what to believe anymore. I feel like I'm losing my mind, torn between the love I have for my wife and the nagging doubt that something is so wrong. Update number 1. Did I overreact or did I uncover something real? Alright everyone, buckle up. Things have not exactly gotten better since my last post a week ago. In fact, they've spiraled a little further down the drain. Before I go into the details, I would like to say thanks for the comments on my last post. Reading them was a real wake-up call. I acted impulsively and completely out of line with how I should treat Samantha. I thought you guys were right, she's an incredible wife and she does not deserve a suspicion like this. So I did what you all suggested. I apologized, big time. I told Samantha how much I appreciated her, how insecure I'd been feeling lately, and how my jealousy led me to jump to these awful conclusions. Turns out the whole reason she started running errands was because she felt cooped up and underappreciated. She loves taking care of the house and me, but she also craves some me time and a chance to feel like her own person again. I listened to her, trying to understand her, and forgave her immediately. After all, she was the woman I loved, and if things went a little sideways, it was my job to bring them back on track. But here's the thing. After the whole coffee date fiasco, Samantha completely stopped going out. No more errands, no more bakery runs, nada. She just stayed at home all the time. At first, I was feeling a surge of relief. But then, a new kind of suspicion was gnawing at me. Samantha was glued to her phone, texting constantly, a secretive smile playing on her lips from time to time. Whenever I came close to phone, it would just snap shut, the smile replaced by a forced calmness, and at night I can hear her on the phone, her voice hushed, giggling sometimes, and the worst part. She sneaks outside to take these calls like some kind of monster who I'll interrogate her. It all feels so secretive. My gut just told me that something is oh so wrong. Samantha seems to be hiding something. The guilt that had been simmering since the fight turned into a full-blown panic attack. Here I was, the jealous jerk who accused his wife of infidelity based on nothing. And now she was actually acting suspicious. Ironic. Maybe she was just talking to a friend, venting about our fight. Maybe she was reconnecting with old college buddies. But the lawyer in me was not satisfied. It needed answers. Who was she talking to? What was she hiding? That's when I did something incredibly stupid. Something I'm not proud of and something I would not recommend to anyone. I snooped. Yep, I went full-blown detective mode. While Samantha was in the shower, one evening I grabbed her phone. I knew it was wrong, a violation of her privacy, but the thought of her potentially cheating on me clouded my judgment. Shame washed over me as I scrolled through her messages. No incriminating texts, no flirtatious exchanges, just normal conversations. Group chats with friends, messages with her sister about a family gathering, and an even hilarious meme exchanged with her mother. There was nothing suspicious, except there were the gaps in her call history. I'm talking large chunks of time where the call log simply went blank. Who was she deleting the calls from? This has to be it, right? The proof I needed. I'm 100% positive that Samantha's having an affair otherwise. There's no plausible reasoning behind deleting the call logs when I could swear she was talking to someone. Now, I'm going to take matters into my own hand and would do anything to bring the truth to light, and God forbid if what I suspect is true. I will not let Samantha live in peace. Update number 2. Hey everyone, Mark here again. Thanks to all of you who chimed in with advice and support on the last post. Honestly, the outpouring of concern really helped. So, where do I begin? The phone records. Let's just say getting a hold of Samantha's call logs wasn't exactly difficult. Lawyer perks, duh. After a few phone calls, I got my hands on Samantha's call logs for the past 3 months. A number that kept hopping up, dominating the recent calls. The name attached to it hit me like a gut punch. It was Dan. Refusing to believe it at face value, I double-checked the numbers, same damn digits. Dan, my friend, the guy who practically lived at our house, who was there for me my whole life, high-fived me after Samantha said yes. Betrayal doesn't even begin to describe it. There has to be some sort of mistake. A wrong number, a business deal I wasn't aware of, something. I checked the number again. I triple-checked it, hoping it would magically change in front of my eyes. But it did not. I needed proof, something concrete, so when I got home, I acted like my usual self. When Samantha went to take a shower that evening, a desperate urge to understand what was happening took hold. I grabbed her phone, searched for the Messages app, empty, completely wiped. I began to feel guilty once more. Was I doubting my wife in vain? Just then, a new notification popped up like it was sent from the gods. It was from Dan. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., regular spot. I became furious. It wasn't just suspicious anymore, this was confirmation. Samantha was cheating on me with my bestie. I needed to catch them red-handed, proof. Concrete evidence that would not allow for denial, so I hatched a plan. So here's what I'll do. Tomorrow I'll be working late, a convenient lie, I know, but necessary. I'll tell Samantha, see where she goes, and hopefully witness the rendezvous with my own eyes. I know it sounds like some cheesy detective movie, but this is my reality now. The worst part? The betrayal from Dan cuts deeper than anything Samantha could have done. He was supposed to be my confidant, the one person I could trust with anything. Now, the man who practically witnessed the birth of our relationship is potentially the reasoning for its crumble. Look, I won't lie. I'm a mess. But I just need to get this done, even if I get hurt in the process. Guys, I will keep you updated. And I'd say, those of you who are still commenting, Samantha is not cheating, and I'm being paranoid, well, I hope this evidence is enough for you to believe I was right. Update number 3. Hey guys, I'm here for an update. So, it's Mark, and I have to admit this is one of the hardest ones I've wrote. If you've been following along, you know that things have been really tense and confusing with my wife Sam. I had my suspicions, and last time, many of you had some advice about what to do next. Well, I took matters into my own hands, and now I'm left with a situation that I did not see coming, even if I, was a genie. So here's what happened in the past few days. Yesterday, according to the plan, I decided to leave work early. I was so anxious and worried, and instead of going home, I parked my car around the corner from our home, and I waited. I know it sounds extreme, but I needed answers. When Samantha left the house, I followed her at a safe distance, trying not to be seen. Well, she got into a cab, and I tailed them all the way to a nearby café. My heart was pounding the entire time, and when she got out of the cab, I saw Dan waiting for her at the entrance. Seeing them together set off all sorts of alarms in my head. They went inside, and I waited a few minutes before going in after them. I wanted to see for myself what was going on before jumping to conclusions. I entered the cafe and saw them sitting in a corner and just talking. It didn't look particularly romantic, but my paranoia was through the roof. I walked up to their table, and as soon as I got close, I couldn't hold back. I accused them of cheating right there in the middle of the cafe, my voice louder than I initiated. The look on Samantha's face was one of shock and confusion. She tried to explain, but I wasn't having it. I called her a few choice names, which I deeply regret now. Dan stood up, trying to calm the situation, but I was too far gone. I swung at him, and we ended up getting into a full-blown fistfight. It was so messy. Tables were knocked over, and people were staring, and I remember the look of horror on Samantha's face as she screamed at us to stop. It wasn't until the cafe manager and a couple other patrons interviewed that we separated. Guys, as I stood there, panting and angry, Dan, bruised and bled, held up his hand and finally managed to get a word in. He told me they're planning a surprise birthday party for me. I didn't believe the idiot at first. It sounded too convenient, like a last-ditch effort to cover up what they were really doing. But then I saw the planner and some invitation card samples that had fallen to the floor during the scuffle. They had my name on it, and there was a whole list of friends and family they were planning to invite. The reality of the situation hit me like a truck. I'd misread everything. I was extremely embarrassed. I tried to apologize to Dan and Samantha right then and there, but the damage was done. Samantha was in tears, and the look of betrayal on her face was something I will never, ever forget. She told me she could not believe I didn't trust her, that I could think so little of her to assume that she would cheat on me with Dan, of all people. In her anger and hurt, she slapped me across the face and said that she wants a divorce. I was speechless. I begged her to reconsider, to let me explain and make it right, but she was resolute. She said she could not be with somebody who had such little faith in her, who would jump to such awful conclusions and act so illy violent. We left the cafe separately, and I don't know if there's any way to fix this. I've tried calling and texting Samantha, but she's not responding. I'm giving her space, but every minute feels like an eternity. To everyone who tried to guide me through this, thank you. I know I didn't handle things the way I should have, and trust is a fragile thing, and I shattered it with my own hands. I'm not sure what comes next, but I'll keep you updated if anything changes. For now, I'm just trying to process everything and figure out how to move forward from the mess that I've created. Update number 4. Hey guys, here's an update you all needed. A lot's happened in the last 21 days. So, which is why I was not able to update, let alone wrap my head around everything that's been going on. By the way, I don't mind all the horrible things you call me. Look, I know what it looks like. I know I went full-blown paranoid conspiracy theorist in public, and honestly, there's no way to sugarcoat it. I messed up. Big time. But it all seemed so suspicious at the time. You wouldn't believe the anxiety gnawing at you when you think your partner's hiding something. And let's be honest, anyone could fall for that kind of thing, right? Right? Okay, maybe not. But even with that lingering doubt, there's no excuse for how I acted. The truth is, I miss Samantha a lot. I miss her laugh, her terrible puns, and those incredible home-cooked meals that she used to make. Don't even get me started on how much I miss coming home to a clean house. After the chaos at the cafe, I knew I had to do everything I could to make things right with Sam. But despite my efforts, Samantha remained distant and unresponsive. I respected her need for space, but it was agonizing not knowing where she stood. Well, days would turn to weeks, and still there was no progress. It became increasingly clear that our marriage was hanging by a thread. I reached out to a couple of mutuals, the ones who have not exactly taken sides in this whole thing. Thankfully, they were willing to play mediator. It took some time convincing, but they managed to get Samantha and Dan to agree to see me one last time. We met at a coffee shop. Samantha sat across from me very stiff, while Dan just looked uninterested. For the next hour, they took turns unloading on me. And you know what? They were right, every single damn word. They called me out on my toxic behavior, the way that I would become self-centered and dismissive. Samantha pointed out how I'd stopped listening to her, stopped appreciating all she did, and she reminded me of the countless times that we planned outings with her, only for me to cancel last minute because of work. Well, they didn't hold back. Leaving that coffee shop, it finally hit me. I'd ruined everything with my own securities, and I'd pushed away the woman I loved and the friend who had always had my back. There's no guarantee Samantha and Dan will ever forgive me. But one thing's for certain, I need to change. If I want them back in my life, I need to work on my trust issues and learn to communicate like an adult. Maybe, if I can convince Samantha I'm a changed man, she'll come back into my life. Wish me luck. Final update. Hey everyone, I'm back after a month. I just wish I could say things have gotten better since last time, but the truth is they've only gotten worse. After that run-in with Samantha and Dan, I did everything I could to patch things up with Samantha. But one morning came the bombshell. Divorce papers, delivered by the mail, first class. I honestly didn't expect that. I thought maybe after some time Samantha's anger would cool down, and we would get back together again. I didn't expect her to take such a big step. Throwing our marriage away just because of a misunderstanding? Losing her was bad enough, but when Dan chose to side with her during the whole mess, it felt like a double betrayal. He was supposed to be my best friend, the one person I could always count on. Seeing him walk out in court, a smug look plastered on his face, nearly sent me over the edge. Losing Samantha and Dan, it felt like losing a piece of myself. The regret, it gnaws at me, reminding me of everything I'd screwed up so much. The nights are the hardest. I miss her terribly. Her home-cooked meals, her hugs. I messed up. As I come to terms with the end of my marriage and the loss of a friend, I'm trying to hold on to hope. I know I can't change the past, but maybe I can learn from it. Maybe I can become a better person. Anyways, I don't know what else to do, so thank you for listening.